Hey guys, Justin here with AmericanMuscle.com, and today we're taking a closer look at and installing the sequential projector headlights available for all 2015 through 2017 Mustangs, along with 2018 and newer GT350s and GT500s, complete with the black housing and smoked lenses. Now you guys should be checking out these LED options for your S550 if you're looking to go with a factory-inspired set of headlights that will offer some attractive yet subtle differences over the stock options, such as the more aggressive smoke lens and the built-in sequential turn signals. Now talking features with the smoked projectors, and I think the biggest will be for the owners out there who prefer to keep things similar to stock, but would like to add some subtle upgrades, in this case in the form of those lightly smoked lenses. Going to add a little bit more of an aggressive look to the front end, of course, in addition to the built-in sequential turn signals, which are located in your iconic tri-bars. Now those tri-bars, much like the factory lights, will illuminate and serve as your daytime running lights, but the fact that they are kicking in the added sequential functionality certainly makes these very appealing. And I do go back to the owners who prefer to stick to more of a stock look. The reality is a lot of the aftermarket headlights in the category can get pretty wild looking, so for the less is more kind of S550 owners out there, I feel you. This is a nice attractive package because, again, yes, you are getting a little bit more of an aggressive look through those smoke lenses along with the sequential functionality, but you're not totally breaking the mold in regards to an OE styled headlight here or something that's crazy aftermarket in appearance. Now moving into construction, and you're gonna find a combination of that matte black housing working with a slightly smoked polycarbonate lens here, guys. Again, will help deliver that sinister look we mentioned throughout the video with both the lights on or off. Now it's not a completely blacked out headlight that's gonna totally kill your headlight performance at night. Instead, it is a lightly smoked look here that does allow for a DOT and SAE stamp of approval. Now I do want to point out, guys, that these options will reuse your factory D3S bulbs and ballast, so you will need to transfer those over during the install, which we are going to show you here in a little bit. Now, finally, guys, I do want to mention that everything's been sealed up nice and tight to prevent any moisture or condensation from entering those housings or lenses and building up over time. Now your price point is gonna live in that low $700 ballpark here, putting these, I would say, right in line with a lot of your other entry-level S550 options on the site at the time of this video. But at the same time, they're still gonna be far more affordable than other options from companies like Alpharex or Morimoto. Regardless, guys, feel free to browse our entire selection here at AM before making your final decision. Now getting into our install here, guys, and the site is gonna call this one a middle of the road 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you at least a couple of hours or so to complete from start to finish, simply because that front bumper will need to come off in order to swap the lights. But to give you a better idea of just how things will go down in the garage or driveway at home, feel free to check out this detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
For this install, you will need an impact, 3/8 1/4 adapter if necessary, T20 Torx bit, 7, 8, 10, and 13 millimeter sockets, Phillips and flathead screwdrivers, clip removal tool, wire strippers and crimpers, and needle nose pliers, and for how we install it but not shown here, male spade connectors and T-taps, as well as a jack and jack stands to access the bottom of the vehicle. What's up, guys? Today we're going to be installing some headlights on our Mustang, but before we do that, we're going to send you to watch a short video on how to uninstall your factory lights, and we'll see you when you get back.
So for this install, we're gonna have to get the car up in the air a little bit, and we're gonna have to remove the front bumper. It's a pretty simple process. I'm gonna walk you through it. So let's get started. I'm gonna start by using my clip tool to remove the clips that hold the upper rad cover on, and I'll just pull these out and pull the rad cover off. So with my rad cover out of the way, I can take my 8mm socket and remove the 6 8mm screws along the top of the bumper, but don't forget the 7mm screws hiding underneath the weather strip here, and I'm just gonna use a 7mm socket to get those out. Now I need to pull back my inner fender liner here up against the front bumper. There are 4 clips here on the inside of the wheel well. One of ours is missing, but just imagine that it's there. And there's 2 at the bottom that I'll have to remove. And then I can pull my wheel well liner back far enough to gain access to the bolt that is behind the liner on the corner of the front bumper. I'm just going to use my clip tool once again to pull the clips out, and then I can pull the liner back. So back here at the corner of this bumper, there is a plastic bracket that mounts the fender to the bumper, and there's a 7mm screw that goes through the 2 and attaches the bumper into the fender. And what you're gonna have to do is take a 7mm socket on your ratchet to remove it. Now, our bumper has been off so many times that hardware is missing, but all you need is a 7mm socket and ratchet, and it'll come right out. Now I'm just gonna repeat this exact same process on the other side of the vehicle, and once again, remove the 7mm screw here at the corner of the bumper. Now you can pull your fender liner back once again and remove the 7mm screw right here. With our fender liners pulled back and the corner of our bumper unbolted, now we can unhook our fog lights and turn signals, as these are going to be coming off with the bumper when we remove it from the car. So I'm just going to unplug my connectors and pull them off the back of the lights. And then I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. So next I'm going to use a combination of a clip removal tool and a 7mm socket on my impact to remove the 4 screws and 2 clips on the bottom of the belly pan, but I'm going to leave it attached to the front bumper so everything comes off in one piece. Let's go with the screws first. So now you're going to want to very carefully pop the corners of the front bumper out. Make sure not to damage these tabs, as you will need them to reinstall the bumper. And with both of the corners popped off now, we can remove the front bumper. So now that I have my bumper pulled off, I have access to all the hardware for the headlight. I'm going to use a 10mm socket for the top and bottom 10mm screws and a 13mm socket for the outer screw. So now I can remove my headlight and unplug the connector.
Alrighty guys, welcome back. Now that we've shown you how to get your factory lights off, there's a few things we're going to need to swap over to our new set before we're ready to go on to the vehicle. First being our bulb and our HID ballast, as well as tapping into a wire here so we can activate features on the headlight. So we'll show you how to do all that, then we'll get it over onto the car. So first we're going to remove the cover for our headlight bulb itself, and to do that we're just going to give it a turn counterclockwise. Now these can be pretty stiff, especially if you've never touched them and your car's getting up there in age. That O-ring tends to really grab onto the plastic. So once we remove our cover, we can access our headlight bulb, which is an HID bulb. Now ours is a little bit worse for wear, but from the factory this should be pretty snug in here, and you just want to give it a little pop out of place. And be careful not to damage the glass on your bulb. You want to pull this straight out without hitting the internal parts of your housing or your bulb section. It might take a little bit of effort. But once you get it out like this, you definitely don't want to touch the glass with your bare hands. It can cause hot spots and premature failure. Wear gloves if you feel more comfortable with that. So now that we have that out, we'll go ahead and unplug it. Now we do not need to transfer over our retainer section for our bulb. Our new one comes with a new ring to lock it in place. So now that we have that unplugged, we'll go ahead and get our HID ballast off. So for this, we're going to grab our T20 Torx bit and remove the 4 T20 Torx screws holding our ballast in place. And once we have those out, we'll go ahead and pull our ballast box back, exposing our plugs here. Now the one we're going to remove is this one. This one stays for the bulb connection, and it just has a tab here that you may need a flathead or something to pry up on. We'll go ahead and do that now. So we've got a small flathead. We'll go ahead and pull up on this tab and then just kind of push back, pop that connector loose. Then we're going to bring this one out with us because that is our actual bulb connector. So we'll fish that through here. May need to wiggle it around a bit to find an open section. And once you do, you go ahead and pull this out. So now we'll come to our new light here, and we're going to remove our bulb area cover, which is simply a rubber cover on this one. So we'll just pop it off just like that. And we can see our provided headlight bulb ring here. So we'll just give that a turn counterclockwise. Take that out so we can get that onto our bulb, and it'll secure our bulb into our headlight. So with your bulb facing up and your plug facing towards you, we'll go ahead and grab our retainer ring, pop that little clip open, and you will see some tabs in here, and those are going to line up with our recesses on our bulb. So we'll go ahead and get this lined up. It may be a little tricky at first. Once you start squeezing it like that, go ahead and get that in place. There should fall right in. This will lock, and that's ready to go in. So now we'll go ahead and grab our connector for our ballast on our new light, and we'll go ahead and plug that right back into our factory spot, just like that. And we can fish our bulb connector through to our bulb area. Now this one's a little bit easier to kind of reach through the bulb area. Right kind of at the top corner, there's an opening. You can feed that right through. Grab onto your connector. Start feeding that through. We have plenty of slack here. And we can go ahead and get our ballast mounted. Now these are oriented specifically, so you just have to find the right orientation for your ballast. Just like that. It will seat properly when it's right. Then we can go ahead and reuse our factory T20 Torx screws. We'll start getting those into place. We'll just give them a little turn just to get them into the mounting holes here. Sometimes you can get them to go in a little bit, sometimes you can't. That's okay. Okay, now that they're all started, grab our T20 Torx bit on our impact and slowly run these in. Remember, this is going into plastic, so there's no need to crank them down any kind of crazy, just good and snug will do the job. Now that that's good and secure, we'll go ahead and plug our bulb in. So go ahead and plug our bulb back into the connector and make sure that seats. We're going to feed our tube for our bulb into the housing. And make sure you want to avoid hitting anything going in. And we'll go ahead and get that lined up and seated, and we'll give it a turn clockwise to lock it in place. So now that we have our bulb in place and our ballast is on, we'll go ahead and stick our cover back on. That simply pops back into place. You want to make sure that seat's nice and good, so no moisture or debris gets in there and messes with your brand new fancy lights. So now we're going to grab onto our yellow signal wire here. And your kit does come with inline T-taps, but we find that male spade connector and normal T-taps like this work a little better than the inline ones. Again, you can use the ones provided in your kit. These are a couple pennies at any hardware store or automotive store, very easy to pick up. So we'll go ahead and slip this onto our pre-stripped end of our wire. We'll grab our wire strippers and crimpers. We'll go ahead and crimp this down like so. Give a good squeeze on that and make sure it properly collapses onto the wire. Give a little tug afterwards just to make sure your connection is nice and secure. So now once you've completed this process for this headlight, you can go ahead and repeat these same steps for your other headlight, then we can move on to the vehicle. So now that we have easy access to our wiring before we install our new lights, we're going to need to tap into our turn signal connector harness here. So for this one, we are going to go to our white wire out of our connector here, and we're going to install our T-tap onto that. So we'll go ahead and get our wire down into our saddle as far as we can before we close our tap on it. And we'll go ahead and squeeze that into place. And it should lock once it seats far enough. And sometimes it's even a good idea to take a pair of pliers or something and lightly just squeeze on this to give it a better cut through our insulation on our wire. So we're just going to give this a light squeeze with our pliers. Nothing crazy because it is plastic, but just enough to give it a little bit more of a seat. So now we can go ahead and grab our main connector for our headlights. And we'll go ahead and plug that in, just like from factory, same connector. Make sure that seats. Then we're going to set our headlight in place using the locators on the side and the front. Make sure they seat. Now we're going to grab our wire that we added our spade connector to, and we're going to go ahead and plug that right into our T-tap that we just installed. Make sure that seats properly. Then we'll go ahead and get our headlight bolted down. Now we'll get our two 10mm screws in place. Top and bottom. Once we have those started, we'll go ahead and get our 13mm bolt into the side of the headlight. Go ahead and get this started. Once we have that started, we'll go ahead and come back with our sockets and tighten everything down. So now we'll grab our 10mm socket, tighten down our front mounts. And we'll switch out to our 13 for our side bolt. So now that you've got this done for this side, you can go ahead and repeat these same steps for your other headlight. Then we'll go ahead and throw our bumper back on. So now we can go ahead and get our bumper back into position. So we'll grab it here. Slide it up and onto our locator dowels. Let that top part rest. Then we can go ahead and get our side squared away and work our way to the underside. Now we'll go ahead and get our edges of our bumper lined back up with our fender. Now remember from the factory, you should have your one screw mounting your bumper to your fender. Again, we don't have ours anymore, but it'll still fit nice and flush all the same. Once you have that in, we'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. Now we can go ahead and plug all of our connectors back in on our bumper lights. So we'll start with our turn signal here. This is this brown one. Make sure that seats. Followed by our marker light, which is this gray one here. Make sure sure that seats properly. And finally, our fog light. And we'll go ahead and get our fender liner back into place. Line that up. So now we can go ahead and get our push pins back into place. Remember, we have ours here, here, and we have these two outside of our fender. And you should have one on the bottom as well. Ours is no longer with us again, but from factory that should be there. Then once you have this side buttoned up, we can go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Then we'll get our bottom splash guard secured, and that'll be it. Now we can go ahead and get our push pins and all of our screws back into place on our splash guard. We'll start with our pins on the outside here. And we can go ahead and get our screws back in place. We'll start up front, our upper two. And these are all 7 mils, so we use our 7 mil socket. Run these back in. Now we'll get all of our 8mm screws back into place at the upper part of our bumper. So we'll grab our 8mm socket and run these back in. And we can go ahead and pull back our weather stripping and install what should be a factory 7mm screw right here on each side. Ours are Phillips head as replacements, but again, factory is a 7mm. Go ahead and install these. And you can go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. Now we'll go ahead and reinstall our upper radiator cover. So we'll go ahead and get this lined up. Make sure it sits down properly, all of our holes aligned. Then we'll go ahead and reinstall. Alrighty guys, that about wraps up our review and install of our sequential projector headlights and matte black housings and smoke lenses for your 15 to 17 Mustang and 18 to current Mustang GT350 and GT500. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.